Alrighty. Well, good morning. Welcome to Studio Janai live stream. It is Saturday, April 8th, 2023, Easter long weekend. Have a couple extra days off here. It was going to be pretty busy today with the Easter egg hunt, and we got supper plans too. So we're kind of on a bit of a time crunch, so I'm probably not going to stream for very long this morning. I got to get things ready upstairs here in a bit to get going. But we will do a little bit of work here. Last week we finished the wings, so we're going to set those aside and get those over to, I don't know, over here for now, I guess. They've had a good week to cure, so they're nice and easily handleable. Oh, it's hard to say that one to me. But yeah, so wings are done. I might mask these off and shoot them with a coat of paint. I already took my mask out last week, that's right. So I'm just gonna mask off the clear. You might be thinking, well, why don't you just take the feathers off? And it's because when I tried to do that last time, I thought they were gonna break. Never mind. Looks like I can get them off without breaking them. Maybe. So maybe we'll just do that. Maybe we'll just paint the feathers as they are. Of course, I don't have to remember how these went on. I should probably... whatever. Figure that out later. Anyway, so yeah, so that's where we're at on that. We'll probably spray these, get that first coat of white on there. I'm probably going to need to wash them because these did come from China and they do feel like they have a bit of a residue on them. I usually wash my stuff anyway. I know a lot of people out there are saying, oh, you don't need to wash your parts anymore. Bandai uses different mold releases or doesn't use a mold release anymore, and yada, yada, yada. And they haven't for a while. And while largely I agree with that, when working with customs, I handle the parts a lot, and I tend to, we have sebum in our skin, so that will transfer onto the parts, and I don't like taking chances with my paint not sticking. I don't know if you've been following this project long enough. If anyone's been following this project long enough, they'll see that there have been several places where I've had some issues with that all along here. And oh, cool! I can take these off too. Maybe we can work on the lower wings. I was thinking about working on the backpack, but we'll work on the lower wings today. Anyway, so I don't know what else I can take off this kit. I know I glued a bunch of it together because I got tired of it not cooperating with me. So yeah, maybe that's what we'll do today. We'll work on these wings. It's a little project. We've got the underside to do. We've only done the top side so far. We haven't panel lined or inked this yet, so we'll go ahead and do the paint on this side, and then we'll come back to the panel line on the other side, and we'll work on that. So we don't need a mask. We'll wash those parts later. I'll set those over here so I don't forget them when I turn off the light. And I should have coffee inbound any moment. Yeah, and we'll probably paint that piston. Probably leave it silver on the main shaft, but we'll paint the tips gold. Oh, I already did that on that side. See, I thought ahead. Now I want to say the paint on this one was better, so I should be able to use the rattle can paint, but I didn't prepare it, so I think we're just going to straight go to the brush paint, and we're going to just make do best we can. Like I said, I'm really just kind of at this point eager to move on and get it done. Not like there's any less care involved. It just I'm ready to move on with this project and move on to another project, another thing. hopefully everyone's got a decent Easter plan and is off doing something fun today. We had an opportunity last night. Nellie and I got to excuse me. Nellie and I got to go see the D&D movie. That was actually a lot of fun. I did not expect that movie to be as much fun. I've a couple times in my life had a chance to try to play in a campaign, and things have just never worked out. The groups that I've been with, whether it's conflicting interests of personnel or just not being able to coordinate times and schedulings. I've never had a chance to actually sit down, play, and enjoy a full campaign or any part of one. I've created a couple different characters for D&D at this point. Some backstories. Actually, that's where the idea for Revis and Aiden have come from. Aiden, of course, being Nellie's character. And they've kind of developed their own little stories just in like our own little headcanons. But neither of them have ever actually been anything anywhere in any capacity or environment. And I just realized I rolled this over and am painting on the side that's going to be touching the ground. We'll stick it and we'll hang it somewhere. Okay, I gotta move that. That's driving me nuts. We got a bear full of pins that aren't pins that I use on my regular repertoire. So they sit up here. That gold goes on kind of a dull color with this, but once the clear coat hits, or once the clear that's in it evaporates out, it really pops. It's got almost the same gold chrome metallic as the other. Not quite, it is a little off from that, but it's also not that sickening, ugly gold that comes along with like the molding in most model kits. It does go on super thin. Requires several coats. Does dry relatively fast. I'm thinking that I want to bronze this peg. Either the peg or a housing. Copper, what do we want to use there? I'm going to use copper because copper is usually a more flexible metal, and that just makes sense. But yeah, back to the D&D movie. It was fun. I found that to be quite a ride. There's a lot of unexpected things. We're gonna do it pretty blind. No theories or anything on it, and pleasantly surprised with it. It was it was a lot of fun. A lot of things that it was really nice to see brought into the movie. Little upset that there weren't any drow. Really actually expected to see a drow, and maybe even a cameo of Drizzt. Really surprised when there wasn't. Don't really know why that wasn't a thing, but at the same time, I kind of get it. Rather than you base coat your things in silver, you come back and paint them later and go, this should be a different color. Just to help break it up. Okay. But I think before I go hard on my next project, I think I'm going to go ahead and acquire a compressor for my airbrushes. So we're going to I've been eyeballing one on Amazon. It's a beginner kit. It's got some paints and some different things that go along with it. But it's like $230 for a decent brush or decent compressor with tank. Comes with a couple practice airbrushes, and then I figured I'd try just doing a couple little practice runs with it, kind of put some paint through the practice brushes, and then get a feel for how that whole system works, and then break out the Zuwadas that my brother sent me, and that'll be the start of airbrushing. We'll see how I enjoy that compared to hand painting. I'll probably still do a mixture of both, because I feel like part of what I do is a bit of a lost art form. Everything's, moving to a new technology. Everything's, going on into let this drive for a minute. We've got newer, better tools now, and things that have taken the place of other things. We've got AI generated art coming out, and that's still a very touchy subject. I've never been one to be like, well, digital artists aren't real artists, because the techniques and the tools are pretty transferable. Like, if you can blend in a paint program, you probably know how to blend in real life to a degree. I mean, like, you can figure it out. But one of the things I think digital art allows for is for more self-taught work, whereas to learn specific paint techniques, certain brush techniques, that's something that is better taught in a studio or taught by a teacher who's learned those techniques, who can pass them on. Obviously somebody had to discover this stuff for themselves somewhere, so it's not beyond the realm of possibility, but having access to pre-built brushes is kind of a step toward AI. Like, that's something that a digital artist has over a regular artist, is they've already got a tool that can blend for them, or that can do certain things that are done differently in a physical art world context. And now we've got the idea of AI, and it's new, and a lot of people are embracing it, who are people who otherwise wouldn't be able to produce any works of art. And really, they're not producing their own works of art, but they're using algorithms and descriptors to create, with the use of a tool, a piece of quote-unquote art. And some of the stuff has been pretty cool. Some of the stuff has made me look and be like, wow, that's actually really neat. But then when I find out it's AI art, it's like, oh, well, I think less of it. I'm less impressed, because it wasn't made by somebody. It was, it was made by a tool that was, used by somebody. I guess it's kind of similar to the way I feel about music. A band on stage, to me, will always have more credibility and more respect than a DJ. And that isn't to say that a DJ isn't good at what they do. Like Marshmello or DJ Chesto or System F, Barry Kornstein, those guys. That isn't to say that they're not creating music. They're just not creating their own stuff from the beginning. They didn't learn how to play all those instruments to make their own stuff. Somebody else did that, and then they took what that person took and built upon it. In the future, I imagine we'll have music programs that will do the same thing. That'll be able to sample, 400 years of musical history and create works of music that, and compose music that, for instance, trying to find copyright-free, royalty-free music for Facebook, so that I could, or for YouTube, so I could do these streams, has been challenging. And I've had to actually procure the services of someone to do so for me. And I do like my results. There was a human element, but if it was something I could do for myself, or a program that I could go to and say, hey, this is the kind of music I like, feed it 500 different samples, and it come back and create me exactly what I was trying to produce in my mind, just because I'm able to describe it. That to me, that would be a very worthwhile tool, and I could see the appeal for it. Unfortunately, it does take the human element out. Like, you don't have an artist at that point. You have a tool, and it's a thin line. I think it will have its place. I think it does have its place. Thank you for my coffee. I see there's a hair on it. Yeah, that's life with cats, right? So I am interested in seeing how and where that goes in the future, and how it's embraced and how it's used for the betterment of society and mankind. Like anything, produced for... I don't think the intent to produce an AI art generator was out of ill will. I don't think it was intended to disrupt or belittle artists and what they can and can't do. I don't think it was meant to replace an artist. And I don't think somebody at the top was like, hey, I'm tired of people who turn me down for free art. I'm going to create a program that'll make free art for me for free. I think that's not at all what was done. I think the intent was, let's make a tool that can help artists achieve more. And I don't think it's to be feared. I don't think it's to be hated. But again, I think everything has its place in its own right. So not sure how I got on that tangent. I was talking about the D&D movie. I was talking about having D&D characters that never went anywhere. And yeah, here we are talking about, this is a hot topic, so. I know I've seen a lot of posts in different groups where people ask questions like, how do you come up with your color schemes? How do you decide what to paint what? And this, I think, is a great example of an answer for that. You just start painting, and as you go along, you go, I don't really like this piece in this color, and you paint it. Or as you're painting the piece next to you, that color there, I think that would look really good if it was this color. And then you do it. Either you like it or you don't. And hopefully, while the paint is still wet, if you don't like it, you can change it quick. probably end this at about 9. Do about an hour of stream here this morning. A little bit of a late start, but so we got in late. we finished the movie a little after 9. Picked up our daughter. Came home, did a Friday night stream. Did a little bit of Last of Us there. Was not prepared to see Joel get killed. That was shocking. I had heard that he died in this game. I did not expect it to be the way it went down. Really kind of surprised because the person who went to assassinate him, he saved her fucking life, and that still wasn't enough. She wasted his ass, and that was horrible. That was absolutely horrible. Fucking horrible storytelling, horrible writing of a character. Like, nobody's that fucking inhumane. You know, that you would think they saved her fucking life. She should have just the way that story was written for that was just, that blew me away. That was so far out of touch with anything that would ever enter my mind. You know, I pictured her coming back to the compound there, or to the mansion there with the group, and somebody being like, "Oh, that's Joel and Tommy, that's the guys you were sent out to kill," and then she'd be like, no, they saved my life, you know, let's hear them out. But yeah, no, that was, wow. And just the way that it was done, just, I did not expect to see that. I have suffered a knee injury before, so when his knee got blown out, part of me felt that. I mean, probably not to the extreme, and I realized it's a video game character, but holy shit, was that real and over the top and not expected. Yeah, just, wow. And I don't know what happened there off screen. I don't know how many times she hit him in the head with the golf club, but the final blow is the one that kind of made me like, well, you've broken my suspension of disbelief. Like, he'd be dead by now if you'd hit him that many times in the head with something that blunt force. And there's no way when Ellie walks in the room that you're going to be conscious. Like, your brain will shut down. You will go into shock. More than likely, he'd have went into shock with the shot that took out his kneecap. Like that. It stopped being, I mean, it stopped having any element of realism at that point. It became too unbelievable to see what happened. Like, it just wasn't something that I could fathom. And yeah, so but lately I've been finding there've been some points in some games that, you know, playing them now, like, I remember games like Sonic the Hedgehog, you know, where it was just about, there wasn't really much to them. If they had any degree of what you would call plot, it was very basic. The game was mostly meant for fun. It was meant to be a challenging experience, but it was meant to be fun, you know. And we've developed games that have become super real with super, you know, ingrained plots and very in-depth ways of telling a story. And I suppose there's still technically a fun element to them. Otherwise, we wouldn't keep doing it. But it's much like reading a book, you know. With a game like Last of Us, or a game like when Nellie and I played It Takes Two, it's about the story. And It Takes Two mixed, actually had a great way of mixing fun and puzzles and you know, elements of what made people want to play video games in the first place, mixed in with a very dramatic story, and the story came out of nowhere, came out of the blue. Like, I did not expect there to be a story, especially one as deeply profound and relatable as the one in It Takes Two. I didn't, by the end of it, I didn't really like the characters that I was playing as. Like, they were awful people. Very selfishly motivated, very much not the kind of people, like, they didn't share my beliefs and values by the end of the game, and I felt really detached from them as characters. And every decision they made to get to that point was just horrible, and I didn't feel good playing that, like, through those parts. But what kept me going in the game was the hope that they would change, that they would become better people. And so that's what I played the story for, and what I kept persevering in, because it was that want to see the characters progress, the want to see the change in them. And I think there should have been a choice path. A lot of games have done that in recent years, where the choices you make affect the overall story, they change the ending, the outcome. And I would have liked to have seen that, I think, for It Takes Two. Because you're both collectively making decisions, but I think there were some points in the game where if you both had to choose differently, if you didn't have to come together and choose, and the game could continue on with you both being split, then the kind of ending that we got would have made a little more sense to me. The unresolved issue at the end of the whole story still leaves you wondering, well, like are they gonna get a divorce? Are they gonna, go their separate ways? And is this little girl gonna have to deal with a split parenting situation? And for Nellie and I, that was something that we both endured. We both had split parenting situations where, we were with one parent, not the other. And I think it does something to a child's psyche to wonder if the absentee parent even loves you or wants you around. And the way that was portrayed in this game, with the little girl taking it upon herself to try to remove herself from the situation, to run away and say, hey, you know what? I'm what makes you guys unhappy, so I'll take away the unhappiness and you guys can be happy again. Such a profoundly deep thought for a child to have, such an adult way of looking at a situation. And yet so gut-wrenching, so heartbreaking to see and think that that character is feeling that, and knowing that I've been in a similar situation, a similar mental state. Nellie knowing that she's also been in a similar mental state, like, and I think sometimes that my stepson goes through that. And it's not that anyone loves him less. It's, he's gotten old enough now, and I think having the stability in his life and the co-parenting that we've been trying to do over the whole time from, I think it's helped. And the shared time, like, we've always kept it 50-50. We've always tried to do what was the right and best thing to do in any given circumstance. And obviously both parents don't always agree on what is the right and best thing to do, so there have been some bumps along the road, and we've gotten through them, and I think we're all in a better place now. As far as that's concerned, like, early on I did try to stay neutral. I tried to stay out of it, but it was kind of apparent that the other party was essentially being a bully and trying to force their way into getting their way all the time. out of respect and love for my wife, I had to step in and say, hey, no, we're not going to do things your way all the time. We're gonna do things her way sometimes, and if that's not going to work, then we're going to have to do things my way, and you're not going to like my way. And it wasn't really a threat. It was a, hey, like, you need to understand that you're not the only person responsible here. You're not the only parent. And there have been some fights and some kickbacks and some, well, you're not his parent kind of thing. But over the years, we've found ways to communicate effectively. And, we still have our ups and downs. Got a little situation this weekend that got blown out of proportion because individuals thought that things weren't being addressed fairly, and it wasn't an issue of not realizing that the request would be slightly unfair. It was an issue of sometimes you just have to ask anyway, because if you don't ask, then you don't know. And we were pretty sure we already knew what the answer was. We were pretty sure we knew that the request was going to be denied, and we were okay with that. We perfectly were prepared for that situation. However, the person who asked us to ask refuses to accept that we know this relationship better than they do, and on short notice, we can't just be like, hey, can we do a thing on time that's not ours? And there have been times in the past where we've been able to, but this was a situation where it was like, going in, we already knew ahead of time that it was going to be a no. And we said that, like, hey, no, we're not even going to bother to ask because, we're like, well, it never hurts to ask. And it's like, well, in this situation, we don't really want to, but, you're right. It doesn't hurt to ask. And it did. It kind of blew up. It became a bigger deal than it needed to be. And some reminders, I think, needed to be sent out to say, hey, listen, like, this wasn't meant to hurt anyone. This wasn't meant to bother anyone. It was a simple yes or no question. And it got a little blown out of proportion. And, this is kind of, it's more unfair that you responded in the way that you did versus the fairness of the request. And that being said, when the shoe is on the other foot and the request comes from you to us, we're usually pretty accommodating, and we don't respond in the same manner in which you responded this time. And that's, please reevaluate your response. And I'm sure that once cooler heads are there, then that will be looked at in that manner. Or at least I'm hopeful. Yeah. All right. Well, one more coat of gold on this side, I think. So it's coating a little nicer than the other side is. the paint on, and then I think we'll panel line tomorrow.
Oh shit.
happy with that. I can't remember which one was which. Phone. Nope. Well, it's not. Coffee. Lukewarm coffee. It's not hot. It's not cold either. All right. One more coat on the white here and a little bit more gold, and I think we're going to call it. What was that about? Huh? What's up? You just gonna sit there and bark for no reason? Huh? Much better. Happier with that. Okay. Done for today. Wait, let's see this spot here. Touch it. There we go. Touch of copper, right there. Right here. And I think we're gonna leave that alone from there out. Panel line tomorrow and be done with the lower wings. Okay, we're gonna set those there as they're drying. 9:22. I'm falling behind. I gotta get moving. So we're gonna conclude today's stream there. You know, it's a little shorter one today for me. On average, I'm usually closer to like 3 hours. Probably won't be up as late tonight, so probably wake up in a decent time tomorrow. And then I am off Monday too, so I'm planning on doing a little bit of streaming on Monday as well. Hopefully be able to get the backpack done. If I can take that off, I might be able to still. No, that's solid. That's solid. Yeah, that's not going there. I've glued that all into place. So she's definitely more like a statue at this point. Oh wait, something come off. Something come off right there. That'll make it a little easier to work on. Access the back. Oh. Let me have it. There we go. So that'll be probably Monday. Will be these guys. Get that done, and then we can work on her back. And so we'll get the wings panel line tomorrow. That'll probably be Monday. Get those touched up. Probably panel line next weekend and the following weekend. Touch-up paint on. I don't think there's anything on her I can take off at this point. I think she's pretty much. She lives there. That's where she lives now. So, yeah, nothing's moving there. So we'll do. We'll have to do that all in place where it's at. We'll start working on the base. I'll have to pick up some cotton balls next time at the grocery store so we can do the clouds. And then what about here? Yeah, that lives there now. That's not moving. I think, right? Feels like it could use to be reinforced, though. A little extra daffodil in there. And then, so we're getting there. We're getting there. We just got the shoulder pauldrons. Pauldrons. The backpack. That, of course, has to be panel lined. It's going to be a lot of fun to get in there to do that. The backpack, the shield, the sword, and the tops of the gauntlets, the chest plate, and then she's done. After all that, then she's done. So we're getting there, little by little, little by little. All right. Hopefully, in the next, I don't know, 3 to 4 weeks, should be finished with her. So, I see somebody just walked in. Hi. Came in just as it's time for me to go, so I'll bid you farewell. Thanks for coming. You can go back and watch the rest of it. There's not a lot going on. Just some painting on the lower wings here. Just trying to get those done up so that they can get clear coated or panel lined tomorrow, and then clear coated, and then we can set those aside and be moving on to the next thing, which will probably be those with the actual pieces. So, all right. Well, thanks for coming, and have a happy Easter. We're off to go do the egg hunt thing here with the kid here in just a bit. So we'll see you next week, or sorry, we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye.